Hi guys, this is Donna with Love Rocks, and we're back again this week with a new video of another rock. This one is another chicken. Found a really cute one, thought we would do this. Let's start off by saying, if you're new to the channel, if you subscribe to the channel and comment under this video, then you will be entered automatically into the drawing for this rock. In about 10 days, and I'll put the date in the description, we'll draw for the rock, and then you'll be notified if you're the winner. So let's get started. I didn't mean to do a chicken so quickly after the last one, but I found this little guy and I loved him. He's a little bit different than the other ones we've done. Right now, chickens are pretty popular, so I thought we would do this one. I did have some problems with this video. I videoed the sketching all the way out, and I don't know if you know, when you're videoing, you're not actually looking through the camera, you're down below the camera. And so I got up and looked through the camera to make sure I was still centered into the video, and realized I had not turned on the video camera. So I apologize. When you start off on this video, you can pause it and you can sketch out. It's a fairly simple sketch. You can sketch out the areas that I did and start from there. So again, I apologize. I try to put the sketching in as much as I can so you guys can see the areas and how one piece lays into the next. So we will get started. One of the things I'm doing different on this video than I do on the others is I'm not actually showing you the colors I use as we're going. I think it takes up too much of the videotape, and you can always look in the description to see the colors that I used. So on this one, we used very limited colors. We used a matte black. I used wicker white. For the beak, we used a pure orange, and I used a little bit of engine red to darken it up for some of the shading. Then I used a camel color to do some of the lighter areas on the bird, as well as bark brown. Now, all of those colors will be listed, so you shouldn't have any problems finding them. But again, I really encourage you to use the colors that you have. There's millions of colors out there, and to have a hobby like this isn't to go out every time we do another rock and buy more and more colors, but to try to learn how to use the ones that you've got. Find what's your favorite and use those. So let's get started. Googly eyes, you know I love those. I put them on everything. Started off with those, and when you're doing those, I encourage you to really start learning how to shade those edges. With this one, the edges are going to be down on the bottom and around the edge of both the right and the left side. When you do that shading, you can use a little bit of gray to do that, or you can even use a little tiny bit of blue. I've used both. Both ways make a nice soft shade, and it doesn't matter which one you use. Both of them work very well. On this particular one, I did use the gray. If for some reason you get too much gray in there, you can let it dry just a little bit so that it's just barely tacky, and then you can come back in with a little bit of white and you can clean it up. You'll see during this video, I did a lot of, I'd paint an area. While it's drying, I'd move to another area. While that's drying, I'd move to another area. I have to do that because I try to video everything in one take instead of having a whole bunch of pieces that I have to put together. And so, you do what's easiest for you, but I tend to let areas dry before I move on to the next area. So once you get those eyes in, we're going to start with the beak. And I kind of put in the black lined areas mostly so that you could see better, because you weren't able to see the sketch. I wanted you to be able to see what was sketched in there around that beak. Super simple. Make sure that you make those lines not too thick, because you're going to go back over that with the feathers. You're going to go back over it with the shading of the beak. And in the end, that black line that we put in there is actually going to look more like a shadow than a line. So if you can keep that line fairly thin, that would be the best. That way, as you're going back in and putting in those other details, you can kind of take away from that line, so it doesn't look like, you know, that you just stuck a line in there. Like I said, the beak I did with that pure orange. I added some white to it to lighten it. And then when you want to darken it for the shading, I used engine red. Now I do have two other reds that I often buy, you know, especially if I can't find engine red. Engine red's my favorite. I like it because it doesn't tend to go pink on me too much, whereas some of the other ones do when I try to lighten them. But you can also use a cardinal red. I have used that before, and it doesn't turn too bad of colors there. I have another one. I can't remember what it's called. It does go pink on me. I think it's called bright red, and it will go pink on me. So in order to find that out, if you buy one or you can't find the ones that I list, take an old rock, something that you're not going to use for anything else. I recommend a rock because then you're going to know what it's going to look like on the surface of what you're normally painting. And go in there and lighten it and darken it with different colors so that you can see what it's actually going to turn to. And you'll be surprised how some of those will actually turn colors on you. Some of the reds will go pink on you. So if that is not what you're desiring on your particular thing that you're working on, be careful to stay away from those. The other thing is the oranges. The oranges, the best thing to mix with them in order to get your shadows would be a little tiny bit of red. And if you mix that pinkish red with it, it will kind of go into a funky color. So, okay, so I worked this beak quite a bit, not on purpose. I was trying to get my shadows and my highlights in it to show the dips and the valleys on this beak. And it did take a little bit of time. Stick with it. Don't get frustrated. Just make sure that you can see where they're supposed to be, where those shadows are going to be and where that highlight's going to be, and just kind of stick with it, and just you can keep working it and fading those one into the other so that, you know, it feels like it's actually a shaded area and a highlighted area that's mixing in with each other. But don't overwork it. And here's the reason why. When you're looking at this beak, when I get ready to walk away from this beak, it's still not going to look done because it's just a beak sitting on that rock. But when you start adding all the detail to it, all of a sudden that beak just looks amazing. So although we did the beak second to the eyes, know that work it, make it the best you can, make it look like what you think it is. You can always go back to it later if you have to. But it may look a little odd to you, and you may want to continuously work it before you get all that detail. I'm telling you, when you start putting the detail in, that beak just starts to blend in with all of that, and it looks great. So don't get too focused on it, or if you do get too focused on it, walk away after a little bit, start working on the detail. You can always go back to it if you need to. I didn't think I'd ever enjoy doing chickens as much as I do. I think I said this on the last one. There's so much personality in chickens. I don't know. I never thought about how much fun they would be to do. But I've really enjoyed the ones that we've done. This one is, other than getting the sketch in, because you do need to get those eyes exactly where they need to be so they don't look too weird or too off. Other than that, this one is fairly simple to do. And it's really going to surprise you how well you'll do at it, because it just starts to take a life of its own as soon as you start getting those eyes in, as soon as you start putting those feathers in. And please, I encourage you so much to try these. It's hard when you're trying to compare your work to someone else's work. And I understand that. If somebody had done this prior to me and I was trying to copy their work, I can guarantee you that if I looked at both of them, I would feel like mine wasn't as good. So try not to compare your stuff to anybody else's. Use this as a learning tool to understand how to put things in and where to put them in, and use it for encouragement to do it. And then you go do your own thing. Change up the color of the feathers. Change up the background. You can change up anything you want on these, but I just encourage you, please try these. I have a lot of people that follow my videos, and there's been a couple of them that I've actually, text back and forth, and we've talked via text message, and I'll ask them, which ones have you done? And a lot of people say they haven't done any of them. And I love the fact that people enjoy watching the videos, because I've caught myself watching a couple of artists that I just enjoy watching. But what I really want to do is encourage you to pick up some paints and a brush and some rocks and start painting and, relaxing and enjoying and making this into something that you can do with family members or loved ones, or just something that can give you that time, even if it's only 30 minutes, an hour of just relaxation. It's amazing how much it'll do for your outlook on life and your just your entire mood. So I do encourage it. Now, I did start with the black feathers first, and that's because I wanted to give the impression of some shading around the eyes. I felt like if I could make the dark feathers around the eyes, it would look like the eyes were kind of popping out away from those feathers a little bit. And that would make him look even crazier looking, and so that's why I put that dark in there. And then we're going to go back and we're going to hit the whole thing with the brown, because he's actually a brown chicken, but I needed that black around the eyes so that I could really give it a good shadow, so that you could see that those eyes were popping out away from those feathers. And we're going to do it down along the neck and down off the shoulder and across that breast part of his of the chicken. I think this little chicken would look adorable on some outside stuff, whether it be a planter or a set of glasses that you have in your, out in your patio or whatever. I think it would just be fun to put this chicken on something other than just a rock. He's a fun chicken. And you could always put sayings on these. Like the first thing I thought when I saw this chicken was I was going to put something like, quick, I need coffee, or something like that. You can put all kinds of sayings on this guy. Bad hair day. You could put just about anything. I don't do a lot of writing on my tutorials. I will sit down and, carefully put some writing on something if that's what I'm going to do for somebody, specifically because that's what they want. But I don't do a lot of any type of font writing on my tutorials. But I think he would look great with something written across him. Now, once you get that black in, and I did want to have the black down his shoulders, his chest, his neck, because I'm going to go back and I wanted that black underneath for both the shading and just like when we do the gnomes and we have that black underneath the beard, I need a background there for that. But ultimately, we'll put that bark brown over the top of a lot of it. The side that's real shaded, which is going to be the right side of his neck and body, I'll probably leave it black because if it's in the shadow enough, you're not going to be able to tell it's brown anyways. So it would appear to be black. I think he'd look adorable on a dark colored rock and then turn around and do like a light colored chicken with him. I think that would be really pretty. But you'll see as you're putting in that brown, you see how that black, especially around his eyes, around the edges of his beak, under his chin, and around his neck, that just gives it the illusion of shadow. Now, there's a lot of white showing up through that black. So you'll notice later that I'll go in there and I'll start making sure that, especially around the beak, around the eyes, around the mouth, around the chin area, that black is pretty much filled in. I don't want to have any of that light color coming through too much. Oh, I want to keep those darks dark right there. I feel like all the different types of chickens that you can find, it'd be fun to do like a full barnyard, which would be way on a big piece of rock or canvas. But I think that would be kind of fun to put all the different chickens that you can come up with. Now, I did add some camel. That's that cream color, that lighter taupe color that I put in there. And I did that because I wanted to have some contrast. I wanted to have one more color in there. When you can contrast things, putting aside what a real chicken looks like, when you can have those contrasted colors, it starts bringing your picture alive, especially when you're doing hair, when you're doing feathers, when you're doing scales, when you're doing, let's see what else. I did a baby sea turtle. Again, You want those contrasting colors. You don't ever want something to be one solid color. It doesn't give you depth. It doesn't give you character. It doesn't give you all those things that you're looking for. So you can add all kinds of different colors to this. You could make this a black and white chicken, and you could put varying colors of gray in it. You don't want to have a one color anything. And as you can see, he really, in no time at all, he just came together. And this is where I'm going back in and just trying to get a lot of that black around the eyes filled in. I didn't want those little white dots underneath to be showing through, especially there. Now don't forget, you have to subscribe to the channel and comment below this video, any comment you want to put in there. And that is what I pull from when I do the drawing. The drawing will be done within about 10 days and you'll be notified within a couple of days of the drawing. Also, if you want to support our channel, the best way that you can support our channel is by sharing this video on social media, sharing it to your Facebook, sharing it to your Instagram, just sharing it so it can get out there and it could be seen by other people that enjoy seeing rocks being painted. With this being a white rock, this particular rock I got at one of the garden stores in a bag of rocks. I often pick mine up on the property, but I couldn't find one that was nice and smooth and light colored. I found some dark smooth ones, but I couldn't find any light ones. So that's why I use this. With that being said, I did really seal this one 4 or 5 times because it seems like those lighter rocks, they will absorb that seal really fast. And so I tend to spray them a lot more than I do my darker rocks. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're leaving your rocks outside, if you're going to be hiding them and leaving them outside, I do tend to do that. Well, guys, thank you. Come back again. We'll see you in a week.